Has this ever happened to you? Container lids flying everywhere, no organization, chaos, nowhere to put them. In this video, I'm gonna turn this board into some organized chaos with the power of my Shark CNC.
idcwoodcraft.com.
Did you really think I could get through a project without using a rounding bit? Joke's on you, I always find a way. This is the 1/4-inch pointed roundover bit from idcwoodcraft.com. For the rounding toolpath, I use an on-the-line profile cut with a 0.24 cut depth. And that gives us our nice rounded edge, which I love, 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 a rounded edge. For that profile cut, I'm using a 1/4-inch compression bit from idcwoodcraft, of course, with an outside the line toolpath to ensure that we don't cut into that beautiful rounded edge. I've moved to using a compression bit on nearly all of my profile cutouts as it gives the cleanest edge. I don't know why more people don't use it. If you don't like using a compression bit, let me know in the comments below why. Maybe I can learn a little bit more. But while you're down there, make sure to hit that like button to see more of me and subscribe so you never miss a thing. And if you've never tried a compression bit before and you're ready to try one out, you can get yours at the link below at idcwoodcraft.com. And for those little pockets, I've used a 1/8 inch down cut for a clean top edge and a smooth side. You will notice here these pockets are set slightly off center. That's intentional. They're set towards the back of the base in order to leave a little bit of room for my fingers to grab the container lids before I'm bumping into the dividers themselves. Now, during the design process, you know, measure twice, cut once. Well, I say measure 3, 4, 5 times, and definitely measure a second time once you're finally done with the design, because you may have forgotten to go back and edit a measurement before you carved it out, like I did. Luckily, I was able to make this work, but I fixed it for the final design file. For the dividers, I'm again using that 1/4-inch compression bit, and I was hoping to get away with just a good old tape hold down method, but obviously that failed right about here. There we go. And I added tabs for the next 3, to say the least. Now, with this new machine, I am learning a bit more about its feeds and speeds, and I definitely slowed down the movement after this. Now, obviously, with smaller machines, they're not quite as rigid and heavy duty as larger ones with their own tables attached. Desktop machines generally want to take it a little bit slower than your standard feeds and speeds. I could see that the first 2 arches were pushing the machine a little bit too heavy, so on the machine panel, my 10.1 pendant, I bumped the movement speed down by 11%, and that seemed to give it just the boost it needed to cut through the material without as much pressure. Yeah. I will continue to experiment with the feeds and speeds for this desktop machine. If you have any questions on how to gauge your feeds and speeds for a smaller machine, let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit the like button so I can keep coming back for more, and subscribe so you never miss a thing. This reminds me so much of cookie dough. It's like taking out the little shapes. Now, I did make super thin tabs to make sure they would snap, hopefully only when I wanted them to, like here. And then this piece was the scary part. All 3 of these dividers were tabbed to this singular piece. But in order to save the most wood, that's how I had to make it work. Look at that. And it worked perfectly. I got really lucky on this one because the tab did rip off in the middle there. So that's one less to worry about sanding. And if this project isn't for you, you could always make some horseshoes. Here I've taken a bit of the sawdust from my workstation and I'm mixing it with Boss Dog wood glue. Do I have a bunch of scientific reasons why to do this? Not really. A lot of people do. But this glue is slightly lighter than the wood that I'm working with, so I think the sawdust will help color match it a little bit better, as well as fill any of those extra little gaps we've got going on underneath that connection. Now, I still have no idea what kind of ratio to do here. I have done almost zero research on how much sawdust versus glue is good for different types of connections. Because I don't know what consistency it's really supposed to be. I'm going off of vibes and what I feel like is gonna fill in the gap, but still obviously provide. Well, it's better to have too much than too little, I think. I'll roll up my sleeves for this. Further down the finishing process, I did have to sand down a lot of these glue gloops that ended up along the edges of this. I wish I had cleaned it up a little bit better during the process, but some sandpaper took care of most of that. Ouch. The arches ended up being slightly off-sized from the pockets that I made, so I used my sander to add a slight taper to the end of each one so they would slide in cleanly. Go as exactly planned. But they're going, so I think that's all that really matters. Smush it around. That's just the sound effect I wished it would make. Square. Gonna be kind of hard, but oh, look at that. Look at that. That should about do it. I'm gonna let this sit overnight and we'll see what happens when we come back in the morning. You mind keeping an eye on this for me? And we're back. I think this looks pretty good. I chose the poly shades, poly and stain in one step over doing a stain and then poly finish due to dry time. It's been overnight and now I'm ready to get to using. When I designed this, I based the design size off of the cabinets here at work, / a slightly standard cabinet size according to Google, but you'll want to double check the measurements before you make yours to ensure that it will fit in your cabinet properly. Now look at that. And this is so versatile, it doesn't have to hold container lids. It could hold shirts. You could separate your sanding pads. And I was even thinking I could V-carve in here the different grits, or separating your tools next to your CNC. You could separate your scrap woods by type. If this interests you, I have made this file available to you in the description below. I've fixed the couple of issues it has, and it also allows for a lot of customization if you'd like to put labels for what's in each section, if you'd like to remove one of the sections to allow the others to be a little bit bigger. Really, you could double the size, you could make it however serves you. That's the great modular customization aspect of this file. You could center the dividers. I did not, to allow a little room for grabbing the items in between the dividers, but if that bugs your OCD a little bit too much, you can change that in yours. That's what I love about CNC, is how customizable it is and how much you can take what I create, make it your own, help your house function, put something pretty up on the wall, a special gift to a friend. CNC makes it possible. Ready to learn more? Go to woodcraftresources.com.